So one of my big plans for this year, 2024, was to finally get around to upgrading my phone. Finding a phone that I wanted, a plan that suited my needs, was affordable, all of that good stuff. Well, at the time of recording, I'm about 36 hours into owning this. My latest phone is the Samsung S24 Plus. Today, we're going to go through the things that I'm enjoying, the things that a little bit niggly, but okay. Plus, even more important for the sake of this channel, we're going to find out how things look when I'm filming through it. And if there's going to be any major noticeable differences between the old one and the new one. G'day YouTube, it's Al here from One Man Many Plans, and of course the blog of the same name, onemanmanyplans.com.au. It has been a busy couple of weeks since I last uploaded to YouTube. In the background you can see 101 bottles of beer on the wall, 101 bottles of beer. Okay, maybe not 101 bottles, but plenty. My beer is finally being bottled. It is carbonating at the moment. It's about a week away from going in the fridge, a couple more days, and then we get to crack one open and try it. That'll be sensational. I've also inherited, let me just pan around here, another one of these armor cases. My boss gave me his old computer ages ago, and it came in a big 16-kilo armor case. And I turned that into a hilariously oversized computer for my daughter. She loves it. It's complete overkill. Now I have another one, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to do with this one? I mean, it's just as heavy and just as bulky and just as unwieldy. So I'll figure out what to do with that. And then, of course, the phone, the new phone feeling. And once upon a time, I was one of those guys that knew exactly when their phone plan ended, just so that I could make a date, put it in my calendar, put it in my diary, to go into the phone store the very next day after the plan had finished, to go and upgrade to the next phone. It was never the top of the line phone. It was never the most expensive phone. It was just a phone that came along that I saw in my travels, in my passing, where I went, that looks interesting. I'll give that a go. Starting off with the original, the beast, the brick, the weapon, whatever you want to call it, the Nokia 5110. Seriously, this thing's indestructible. I had a Nokia 3210, Telstra 480T, I think it was. I'll just double check. Nothing good to say about that phone, but I got it for free. A Wildfire? All I remember is that it ate a lot of batteries. So, you know, the Wildfire phone wasn't great. There was the Sony Ericsson model that was a phone on one side and a camera on the other. You know, before phones were known for their camera quality, Sony Ericsson had this half and half model. And I went, how cool's that? I even had one iPhone along in my phone history. It was an iPhone 4. A lot of peer pressure to go and get an iPhone. Everyone had an iPhone. You got to get an iPhone. They're the greatest things in the world. Funnily enough, I decided then and there after owning it that I didn't like iPhones. And it wasn't for what the phone did. It was how infuriating I found to try and get it to do stuff. Like, I like cars that you can pop the hood on and tinker with or fix yourself. The iPhone seemed to be very, very annoying to me, especially just trying to load songs and doing those kinds of things. iTunes, I gave up then and there. I've been pretty much an Android user. I've tried Huawei phones. Were they spying on me? I have no idea. I've had a Samsung S6 Edge, which was a pretty cool phone. You know, working my way up to what you're watching me on now, the S20 FE. This is probably one of the only phones where I got to the end of the contract and went, you know what? There's nothing really out there at this time that makes me go, I've got to go and get that. I've got to make a date for the store to go in and grab this phone because this is going to be the best thing ever. And so for quite some time, I have, I've paid this off and just continued on the same plan for months and months and months and months and months and months and months, even though it's got a little bit slower. And even though I've dropped it a couple of times and the camera has taken a few hits, it's got a little couple of cracks on the screen, natural for a phone that you're walking around without a case on, that's bound to happen. At the start of this year, I went, okay, I think it's definitely upgrade time. But me being me trying not to, bankrupt myself, it was only when I found a plan that agreed with me, that, a phone that was going to go okay, all of those kinds of things. And it's taken me up until, September now to actually finally find a deal where I went, yep, that's exactly what I want. Let's give it a go. Let's see what this one is about. And so I have ended up, like I said at the start of this video, with this one, which is a Samsung S24 Plus. Now, I could have got just the normal base 24 on a plan without paying anything more for it. But I'd read so many good things about this particular phone that I just went, okay, I'll spend a little bit of money. I'll put my tax money to it this year, an extra $199 on a plan. There we go. And it's almost been a couple of days since I've owned it, and I'm slowly coming to terms with it. I mean, one thing that I knew going into this, and I'd read this a couple of places, is that if you've owned a Samsung phone from S20 onwards, then this won't be too much different. It's just the same phone with a few more extra details. But, you know, when you haven't had a new, sharper, sleeker, smarter, faster phone for a time, well, you know, that's always nice. And that's been my case. I've been using the FE for quite some time. Chatting to the guy who helped me organise this one, he's still using an S21 FE. So those old phones, you know, once upon a time you'd get to 2 or 3 years and they'd start to get a little bit quirky and a little bit weird and do sort of weird stuff. But nowadays, the technology's got to that point where unless you really do some serious damage, they're actually doing pretty well for themselves. A couple of reasons why I really wanted to upgrade my phone this year as well. First and foremost, filming on it. The camera on this side is not too bad. It's when you get to the other camera on this phone, problems start to present themselves. So it's a little bit blurry. You can see my Batman there. You zoom out, you get to a point, where is it? Things change because of the cracked lenses and the camera damage. Gets a little bit fuzzy and a little bit grey and a little bit smoky. So when you take photos with this thing, you'd have to zoom in to get perfect shots, or you'd have to take a step back. I was looking for a phone that had a camera that worked straight out of the box, and now I've got one, which is sensational. And I'm going to switch and film on it in just a sec after I go through a few different bits and pieces about this phone. The second reason why I needed to upgrade was Vodafone. I've been a Vodafone customer for quite a few years now, and it purely came about because I was a Telstra customer for years. My wife and I, our phone plan came to an end. We walked into a Telstra store. I had an idea what I wanted. She had an idea what we wanted. We copped a salesperson there that was trying to push the Samsung S8 on us, and that was it. He was not taking no for an answer. No, this is the phone that I'm looking for. Oh, yeah, but the S8 does this, and this so much better. I said, yeah, that's great, but at the moment, I can't afford the plans that you've got for that. I would like this phone. And he was trying to find ways to make it easier for us and trying to do deals. And in the end, we got so frustrated with him and the fact that he couldn't look past trying to push an S8 on us that we walked out of the Telstra store. We just happened to go past a Vodafone store. My wife said, why don't we just give it a go? Go and talk to them, see what they've got. We don't have to sign up to anything today. We'll give it a crack. And it turned out to be a great idea. The girl behind the counter, insanely helpful. The Huawei phones that we got, cheaper than what we were using, a better plan than what we were using. And being an Android phone, did exactly the same things as everything else. Great cameras on them. I was very, very happy, and I'd been from then and there, I was a Vodafone customer, which was awesome. When I was up in a major city population like the Gold Coast, the issues I have with Vodafone now, and it's purely not the service they provide, they have been fantastic. It's not the people or the business or the company itself. The trouble I have with Vodafone now is living in regional New South Wales and going travelling and road trips, is that the coverage is not great. We went to Adelaide, and sometimes using the phone, this phone with the maps on it, suddenly there'd be nothing on the map because it couldn't get signal at all. We'd go to small towns, we'd have a weekend away somewhere, and sometimes you'd have to reset your phone just to get reception, which is not ideal at all. Last week, I was broadcasting, I was doing part of my radio show from the Henty Machinery Field Days. The equipment that we had failed. Suddenly, I was doing everything on my phone. I was recording things on my phone, I was emailing them back to the studio, and at the start, when there was no one there in the Henty Field Days, that was fine. It'd take a couple of minutes for my email to get there. As more and more people streamed through the gate and took out more and more of the reception, suddenly it would take upwards of 20 minutes to send something through, which was absolutely agonizing when you're trying to do a live sounding radio show. So that was a bit of an issue. So I've been looking forward to, unfortunately, saying goodbye to Vodafone. They do great deals and they have been absolutely sensational for us. And switching to someone like Optus or Telstra with far more coverage. I mean, I did get a message from Vodafone last week saying, hey, we are going to be doubling our coverage. It's going to be better from next year onwards. But unfortunately, that's missed the boat for me. I just want a phone that works, that connects, that does all the things I want it to do, and doesn't have to be reset in areas of poor coverage and still manages to hold its own. So that's hopefully what I've got with this. I am with Optus now. It was pretty much plain sailing to switch over and get one of these walking out the store ready to go. Now, before we get into the things that I'm really enjoying about this one, let's just check out a couple of little niggles. Now, these certainly aren't deal breakers. They're just minor inconveniences, if you will. But things that I've just gone, oh, yeah, okay, I probably should have seen that coming. But hey, I haven't upgraded my phone for a while, so some of these were a bit forgotten. First and foremost, my watch, my Samsung smartwatch, secondhand smartwatch. It has been absolutely sensational. I love it. I love getting messages on it, updates and all those kinds of things. Unfortunately, Samsung put out a thing last year that said any phone from 2024 onwards is not going to work with the Gear S3. And so now I have a smartwatch that isn't so smart anymore. I will eventually upgrade it because I do like these things, but a little bit frustrating, and I'd clean forgotten about that. I just went, oh, yeah, that's right. Niggle number 2 is to save space on the nice-looking box. There is no charger that comes with this phone. There is a USB cord, but it's a USB-C to USB-C cord, which means that it doesn't work with any of the chargers that I've got. I've got so many chargers and USB chargers from previous phones that I'm still using today. So I'm just using the old recharging cord from my FE for the S24 Plus. You buy one of these phones, and if you don't have a charger, immediately you've got to go and find a charger for it. Yeah, it's a little bit irksome. And my last little niggle, and let's be honest, it's not really a niggle, it's just my hyperactive imagination here. When I heard that this phone had AI on board, I immediately thought, oh, that's going to be like a personal assistant, like a Skynet on your phone that's going to tell you what you're going to be doing every day, and it's going to order pizza when you want it to, and it's going to maintain the house, and it's going to do all of these things. No, from what I've established so far is that AI likes to touch up my pictures. When I'm writing messages, it likes to stick its claw in and go, hey, what if we do this, or what if we change that kind of thing. It certainly isn't at that personal assistant stage yet, so don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I was kind of hoping that you could just go, Skynet, start the car, and it would. A little bit lacking in technology there, but maybe one of the many, many updates coming over the next 7 years will fix that, and that's one of the things that I'm really going to enjoy about this phone. Yes, I've switched phones just so you can see the difference between the two cameras, but also, if I'm talking about the positives of this phone, I might as well be using it. And one thing that I'm really impressed by in buying this phone now is the fact that Samsung has said, we're going to put out updates for it for the next 7 years. So it's not a case of buying this phone late and only having 1, maybe 2 years of updates before it becomes a little bit more obsolete, especially if you've signed up for a 3-year plan, you're only getting updates for 2 years. Apparently there are updates coming for this particular model for the next 7 years, which is awesome, which means I'll get through my first 2 contracted years, and all going well, things working, I'll probably continue to hold on to it for another few years, as long as it's in good nick, as long as it's working. So, 7 years of updates is certainly sensational. Another thing that I'm really enjoying, obviously, the clarity of the camera. Now, the AI, when it touches up your photos, is a bit interesting. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does a great job, sometimes the colors are a little bit different. And I had been warned by people on Reddit, that sometimes the camera AI has a mind of its own. But I did play with it last night, and I was playing with photos and just removing things, because I'd seen plenty of ads, especially the Pixel. Pixel does this well. This does this pretty well as well. I could circle these bottles, and I could touch the button and AI would magically make them disappear. I've tried it a few times with a few different pictures. It's been hit and miss, but I love the feature. I think that's pretty cool, especially if there's someone standing in your nice romantic couple shot that there shouldn't be, and you can just remove them and it'll replace them with beach or whatever is behind you. Speed, I'm loving the speed. It's not super quicker than my old phone, but it is noticeably quicker. So, that's good. Not that I'm in a hurry to do anything on my phone, but hey, nice speed is great. Another thing that I've picked up about this phone is that it explains everything. It's like I've gone back in time to the world of phones. I'm a brand new user, and it literally points out everything as it happens, which is good and bad, because I'm using a lot of the same apps that I used on my S20. And it's like, you can do this, and you can do this, and you can set up the notifications. In a couple of occasions, I will admit, there have been notifications that I obviously didn't get the first time around that I've gone, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Let's turn that on, or you know, that's annoying. Let's turn that off. I do like the styling. It's roughly the same size as my old phone. It's got the square edges, which remind me a bit about the old iPhone instead of the rounded edges of the S23. It feels good. It's nice and solid. It looks like one big solid unit. It would definitely benefit from a case. And the other thing is that everyone wants to steal it and play with it, which is hilarious until I try and find it. And my kids and my wife have taken it and they've changed all the photos on my lock screen and on my home screen, all the background photos. So, you know, there's that. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it for the moment, and like I said, one of the biggest caveats of buying this was a working camera. Having to not zoom in or zoom out at extreme mode just to get a nice photo will be sensational. It's taken some great pictures before. I love the cameras on both sides of it. I think I'm really going to enjoy this thing. But if you've got any tips or tricks for me, whether it is to fine-tune the AI or to make sure the camera settings are up to scratch, because I'm not great with cameras. I haven't modified anything so far. I'm still getting used to everything. I've had to sign in with all of my passwords and remember what my passwords were for apps on the old phone to this phone. So, you know, it's a bit of a work in progress. But if you've got this phone, whether it's the base model, the plus model, the ultra model, and you've discovered something quirky about it or something that's awesome about it, please let me know in a comment below. Battery life too seems really good, which I'm really impressed with. Not that I play with 10 apps and have 8 games in the background draining everything, but it's nice to have a phone that, you know, you get through all of the day and it could still go overnight and still have enough juice in it to actually get you through the morning. I'm very happy to have one of those phones, so that's been good. But yeah, like I said, if I've missed anything or you've owned it for longer than 36 hours and you've gone, actually, Al, what you're missing is this. You should try this, or this is an app that works so much better or didn't work before. Those kinds of things. In the meantime, I'm going to go continue to wait for the beer to finish. I'm going to work out a solution for the watch. I'm going to figure out something to do with the armor case because that's just taking up such a huge part of the shed. And I'm going to continue playing with this phone. Thanks for checking out my latest video. Take care and speak to you soon.